welcome right tackle Brian O'Neill to our broadcast location here. We seem to talk to you every year. Thanks for agreeing. Thanks for putting up with us. We appreciate that.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. Joint practices, you like these? Are these better than just going against the guys? And what do you? I kind of wonder. I've never watched one before. What do you get from them when?
It's your fan club out here.
Thanks.
How come you only have JJ jerseys on?
Yeah. What do you get from these joint practices?
Well, I think for one, you get to go against different guys. I mean, we've been banging on each other going against each other in practice for a couple weeks now, and it's always good to see some different faces, different moves, different body types, slightly different scheme in terms of how guys are going to play blocks. So for our guys up front, it's a good experience to see something different and kind of emulate some things we might see throughout the season.
Tenebee had pointed out or a couple of weeks ago that you're looking at the roster. This looks like it might be the first year in a while that the same offensive line, the same 5 starters are going to come back and play again together. It seems that there's always a piece that's being changed, and I would have to assume that's nice for continuity for the unit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's huge, and I think a lot of guys are going to take a big step. I'm excited about Ed Ingram's progress in camp. I think he's going to take a huge jump from year 1 to year 2. I can just see it in him, his confidence, and then again, we're also playing with the same offensive coordinator and play caller for the first time since I've been here 2 years in a row. So hopefully that helps us out a lot, starting to get deeper levels of understanding of the offense.
How have you navigated through kind of coming back from an injury a little bit and knowing that you don't want to push yourself too hard, but you got to be ready full speed for the opener in September the 10th?
Yeah, it's a good balance, but thankfully we have a really good staff here that's put together a great plan. Tyler and Uriah, they've put together a great plan for me, and for me it's, I've never been in this situation, so it's kind of trusting the people who have been in this situation. So it's been great. We've had, no hiccups. We've adjusted when we need to adjust it, and they've pushed me when they've needed to push me, and they listen to me, but they also push me really hard. So I'm really appreciative of the work the whole staff's done there, and I think they've done a great job.
You mentioned the continuity of second year of KOC. Like for a quarterback, that makes sense, right? To have how about from an offensive lineman standpoint? Like, does having the same offensive play caller do anything for an offensive lineman, or are you guys kind of, it doesn't matter what scheme, like you kind of doing the same thing, play in, play out, if that makes sense?
No, I think it gives us a better idea of why certain things are called and what's likely to be called again, and just we have 7 or 18 games of banked calls already that we can kind of lean on and know, hey, this is how the games have gone. If this happens, then this is kind of what we can expect next. And then we know just from being in the offense what the hard downs are going to be for us, and then where we're going to be running downhill on guys with good angles and good formations.
Again, we're with Brian O'Neill. One of the big offseason acquisitions was Josh Oliver. Big man, big force, and not only just to help the run game, but to kind of give defenses something more to think about. What have been your impressions and how he's fitting in and how you see this offense developing because of his presence?
Yeah, Josh has been great. I remember the first time I met him, he shook my hand. I was like, you could just tell he's a big guy. He's an imposing presence. And then when we do, combination drills with the tight ends, you can feel his presence, and you can feel his presence in team drills. He's a big, strong body. He knows what he's doing, and he's wasted no time getting to know the guys and becoming one of the boys. So super excited about Josh.
This will be the first year that you won't be opening holes for Dalvin Cook. He's no longer with the club. It looks like Alexander Madison will be the number 1 guy. Is that a big difference between their styles and how it works, or is it the same thing? It's like running play called, open a hole, hope he gets through it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of any differences in their styles, that's not really that doesn't really come across my mind in terms of things I think about when a play is called. The job's the job, and the job is to move holes and make holes for the running back and keep the quarterback clean. So, but just so much confidence, so much excitement for Alex that he's deserved this opportunity and he's going to do great. And we've seen it in practice and in smaller spurts in the games for the last 4 years. So I'm excited for the opportunity for him and know he's going to do great.
Have you noticed kind of an uptick with Kirk Cousins' personality? Of course, we all saw him on quarterback and seeing a little different side of him. Internally with your teammates and his teammates, is he the same guy? Is he a little bit more open than we've seen in the past?
I mean, he's the same guy to me. He's the same guy in the locker room every day. He's the same guy in the weight room. Maybe everybody else is just starting to see who he is and let his personality show a little bit. But he's been one of the most consistent guys that I've been around in the NFL, and that's kind of what makes him so great is how consistent he is who he is, what he believes in, his purpose, and how he goes about his business. So I think everybody on our team looks to him as kind of a steady rock.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you've obviously solidified yourself on the offensive line throughout your career. You're 27 years old. Other than rehabbing from injury, like at this stage of your career, are there still little things that you're working on and trying to improve on? And if so, what would be those things?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's big things that I'm working on. There's big things that everybody's working on. The minute you think you've arrived, you haven't, and I certainly understand that coming back from an injury, having a shortened off season. It's going to be really critical for me in the next couple of weeks to hone in technique that I've used for the past couple of years and try to make them better.
When somebody sent me a link, I didn't read the story, but they were, they always have these lists and rankings and such. Toughest quarterbacks in the NFL. Physically, we're taking a beating, and Kirk was like number 10. And I just didn't even bother looking at the list because I think anybody that's playing quarterback in the NFL has got to be pretty tough to begin with because they're all going to get hit. They're all going to take shots. I just find those lists like that a bit silly, especially that one. I think a lot of it had to do with the reason maybe Kirk was in that top 10 was because of what we saw on the quarterback thing where he took he got hit several times like they all do, get hit pretty hard. But it seems like any guy playing quarterback is pretty tough.
Absolutely. I mean, first they have the hardest job on the whole field. They got to know what everybody else is doing, where they're supposed to start, where they're supposed to end up. He's out there correcting running backs, tight ends, O-linemen. He's making protection calls. All while dropping back, and any quarterback not necessarily able to defend themselves when they're ready to throw. So Kirk's a tough SOB, and we're riding with him.
A lot of changes on the roster, offensively and defensively. Some guys that you've known for a long time are no longer there. We got new guys coming in. Last year we went 13-4, got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Do you think this team can match that product? Maybe not necessarily 13 wins, but can defend the North and be a playoff team again?
That's certainly the goal.
Yeah.
That's certainly the expectation we have in the locker room, and we hold ourselves to a high standard. But to talk about where the end of the season will finish right now is jumping the gun a little bit.
Right.
We still have a lot of work to do in the tomorrow with the joint practices, and then about a little less than a month until game day. So there's a lot more work to be done before those conversations start happening.